Hello, this is Sam Gerrans from samgerrans.com. Today is Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023, and today the subject is UK's nanny state of tyrannical compassion. We're going to look at it as an article. I've briefly skimmed it, so I know sort of what it's about. But before we get into that, I'm just going to say that when I was in America, I travelled across America about three years ago, and it was quite clear to me that the whole country had been weaponized by this fake compassion. Everybody's supposed to feel compassion for everything. What about compassion for the people who don't want to have their society weaponized and turned into some sort of sodomite hell? No compassion for them, of course, but everyone else gets compassion. Anyway, we'll have a look at this. You'll notice that all governments are using compassion. The day was when they would just kick your door down and kill you directly, and they were quite sort of open and honest about it, or lock you up somewhere. I mean, they can still do quite a lot of that. If you happen to be Russian in the West, they can certainly take your stuff away and make your life a living hell. But at the same time, if you're not completely compassionate towards other particular groups, then you're just a bigot. See, this is how it works. It's all very eclectic. Anyway, we'll have a look at this one. It's from our good friends, I think, at the Independent. Yes, I do pick on the Independent, and the reason is because it's free. But the Independent, just before we get into this, it's fairly representative. It's supposed to be a broadsheet, supposed to be something quite, this isn't the Sun, it's not the Daily Mail, this is supposed to be a proper newspaper, so that's why I use it. I suppose it's about the equivalent of the Washington Post or something like that. The Independent, the Guardian, the Telegraph, the Times, they're all basically the same sort of thing. All right, so let's have a look at it. Emergency alert test live, second alarm shock as investigation launched. Now, I'm not in the UK, thank God, but as far as I know, they've started sending out alarms for all kinds of things. Be afraid, be very afraid. It was a patchy launch for the test of the government's new emergency alert system, with reports of some users being woken up by the booming alarm in the early hours of Monday morning. Do you think that was a mistake? See, what they're doing is they're making you completely dependent upon the state. And I've talked about this, and this is why I do some of my sort of delusion analyses, especially what they're doing to women in order to destroy men and actually women's lives, and especially children's lives, of course. It's not just because, they're nasty and vindictive, although they are certainly both of those two things. It's what they're doing is they're making it so that you have nobody between you and the state. You, your telephone, or whatever it is, you're getting a personal message. You have to do whatever it is. If you haven't seen Brazil, the film by Brazil, by Terry Gilliam, and there's another one, I'm afraid I'm blanking on the name of it, but somebody recommended it in the comments, and I watched it. If you remember what it is, please put it in the comments. It's a much more recent one by Terry Gilliam, and it's absolutely excellent. You should watch both of them. I can't remember the name of the other one, I'm sorry. While the alert was scheduled to go out at 3 p.m. on Sunday, some people said they did not receive the notification, while others reported the alert arriving early or late. One mobile user, have you noticed what's happened to this now? So a Twitter user, a mobile user. It's just the same as anonymous. But anyway, let's see what this person's got to say. Told the Independent they had not received the alert on Sunday afternoon, but on 2:30 a.m. on Monday. So what they're doing is they're setting up, this is the problem. You received the alert, but at the wrong time. But this isn't the problem. The actual problem is the fact that the government has now taken it upon itself to interface with you directly and to make your phone make noises. Well, if they can make your phone make noises, they can turn it on and off, can't they? Well, that was always the plan, of course. Others took to social media with similar tales, with one user exclaiming, "Why have I just received a second severe alert notification at 2:30 a.m. Nightmare." Well, why have you received it at all? Why is the government doing this to you? Because this is the agenda. You in a cell on your own, interfacing with the state, with not even, with not even a kind of micro family around you. This is the plan. This is what they're doing to you, see? Scared me to death, they added. Professor of telecommunications. Okay, now this is the appeal to the authority. This is going to be the person. He's a professor. Nigel Linge said that it is not surprising the emergency alert did not work perfectly. You see, again, this is what they're doing is they're setting up the argument in terms of, oh, well, it should have worked better. Not, why is the government doing this to you? This is what media is. If you don't understand that this is what media's job is to present things in terms which presuppose the admissibility and desirability of the outcomes that they want. That's how it's done. It all does this. Doesn't matter what you read. It all does pretty much this or something like it. Speaking to Good Morning Britain. Good Morning Britain. I don't live in Britain. I haven't lived there for a very long time, but I do sort of know what this is. This is a sort of early morning indoctrination program in how to be like completely retarded. And it's a sort of sitting on a sofa talking to each other. I can't say I've ever kind of sat down and watched it, but I do know what it is. He said, quote, "It's not unusual that a test of this type did not work perfectly." For a professor, he doesn't have a very good command of English, but who cares about English anymore? That is what you expect. I don't think anyone in the mobile phone industry would be surprised that it wasn't perfect. End quote. Again, can you see what they're doing? Not that the government has taken it upon itself to make you very afraid with its alerts. DEFCON 5, DEFCON 4. Be afraid. Be quite afraid. Be moderately afraid. Don't be very afraid, but you might need to be more afraid in a minute. The Cabinet Office said it would be reviewing the outcome of the UK-wide test of the new emergency alert system. I'm just pointing out this is what they're doing to you. I don't know if we're going to read any more of this. It's one of these sorts of things. Okay. Yeah, same thing. Blah, 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 blah. Lots of advertising. Blah, blah, blah. All right, let's just read this one. Keep calm and carry on. Deputy PM's message ahead of UK emergency alerts test. And you can tell, do you know what they're testing? They're not testing the system. They're testing you lot. I don't know, but I'm fairly sure that they would be able to make this all work first time. It's not that. They want to see what your reaction is going to be. They want to see if people are saying, what on earth do you think you're doing? And, kicking up a big fuss. But no, what they're actually getting is people whose sole complaint is that it came at the wrong time. Oh dear. Britons, they've started using this word now, have been advised, quote, to keep calm and carry on when a test emergency alert is sent to their mobile phones later today. So this is sort of going back in time, this thing, this presentation. Officials from the Cabinet Office National Situation Centre. Well, there's always a national situation, isn't there? Will send out the alert at 3 p.m. and it will be received by every 4G and 5G device across the United Kingdom, i.e. by every device, by every single person across the United Kingdom. Imagine being a 6-year-old child getting one of these. Be afraid. Be quite afraid. It's all about training the herd. And I'll just tell you right now, in case you haven't worked it out, that what this is getting you lot ready for COVID 2.0, which is coming as sure as eggs is eggs. People are being urged to remember that the alert is a test, similar to a one-off fire alarm drill, and no action is required when they receive the test. You're living in a big prison, all right? It's just what it is. Oliver Dowden, Deputy Prime Minister and Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, said, keep calm and carry on. You see, they're all speaking in these kind of, platitudes. Keep calm and carry on. This is from World War II, the very, very famous meme-like poster. Are you living in World War II? Well, you're living in World War III, but they haven't told you about that yet. This is the British way. Oh, is it really? So now we're all British. I thought we were a multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-mixed, kind of, homogenized, bland porridge of nothing. But no, now we're all British. I see. How wonderful. And is exactly what the country will do when they receive this test alert at 3 p.m. today. The government's number one job is to spin up people's minds and control them for the bankers that own the government. Oh no, he didn't quite say that. That wouldn't have got into any of the newspapers. Is to keep people safe. You see, safe. This is the whole thing. This compassion. They really care about you. The same people who are poisoning your skies, poisoning your food, and are grooming your children, indoctrinating you, bankrupting you actually at the moment, if you're cutting off Russian gas and everything else, destroying your industry, destroying your culture, destroying your country, destroying your mind, and injecting you full of diseases. They really care about you. They want to keep you safe. And this is another tool in the toolkit for emergency situations. Well, that bit's true. I don't know about the actual emergency, but whatever situations. Remember, they've got a situation. What do they call it? A national situations organisation. Well, they've always got a national situation. And the national situation is they're training you lot into how to be more obedient, more effective serfs. Another tool in the toolkit for emergency situations such as flooding, wildfires where there is a genuine risk to life, or perhaps the fact that you talked to the neighbour that you shouldn't have been talking to, or perhaps you've got a Russian friend or somebody with a Russian sounding surname. This is what they're doing to you. They're training you. This is how it works. A genuine risk to life. Oh yeah, I'll just give you, this is an anecdote, but I've got a memory, see, so I'm plagued with a memory. If you think back to when they brought out tasers, tasers, these cattle prods that they use on the population, the argument was that it was preferable to actually shooting and killing somebody. And you hear that argument, you think to yourself, oh yeah, yes, of course, it is preferable to that outcome. And that was the argument. They were only going to use tasers instead of actual firearms to murder you. And that was the rubric under which tasers were rolled out. But now they use tasers, if you don't jump, quickly enough when a police officer tells you something, now they're tasing you. What would they have shot you in that situation? Well, not yet. Perhaps we'll get there. All I'm saying is this is just pablum. It's just PR. They're going to be give it a year. They're going to be, or 2 years. They're going to be sending you all kinds of stuff on whether or not you can go outside of the house today. This is what this is actually about. In fact, we had these already. We had these in Russia. All those people who are talking about how wonderful the multipolar world is and all of this nonsense. And we had this here in the city that I live in. It's a so-called smart city, which means you're basically surveilled 24 hours a day the moment you go out of the house. And throughout the lockdowns, you would get SMS messages telling you whether or not you could leave the city, whether you could go to the dacha. And if the police stopped you and you hadn't got the right SMS message on your telephone, then you were in trouble. There's one system, there's one agenda, it all works together. I don't care where you are. The idea of countries and nations is complete nonsense. What you've got is castes and serfs. Where there is a genuine risk to life. So it really is the sound that could save your life. It's the sound that could save your life. That was worked out by a PR writing team. I know, because I used to be on one. I know exactly how this kind of stuff works. And anyway, I'm going to leave that there. I hope you found that interesting. If I were you, I know what I do. Basically, I trust in God and the last day, and I make my preparations on that basis, because if you put your trust in the government, into this satanic pharaonic system, it's not going to end well for you. And they're after you. Can't you see it? Can you not see it? There's a plan, there's an agenda, they're working through it. They're just ticking boxes. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Details of where I upload to, how you can join my Substack and Telegram channel, support my work and download my books free are in the description. Please do share and like. I don't normally say it, but if you don't do it, this channel is going to sort of fade away, because I've obviously been shadow banned and all of that. So if you don't share and you don't like and you don't comment and all of that, then that the algorithm just comes to its own conclusions. That's it. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.